So not being around the last class, I'm going to do a quick review. Constructors, all right. What is a constructor? Constructors called when we have an instance of a class, right? We instantiate an object. Rectangle R equals new rectangle, empty parentheses. And if I have the empty parentheses, it just goes to a built-in default constructor. Okay, some more things about constructors. Has the same name as the class, right? And what we use it for is to put the initial values in. So for example, here's 3 constructors. One is a default, which means my field's length and width, I'm just giving them whatever values I want. When I come down here, here's a constructor with only one value coming in. And as you can see, length and width are both getting that same value. And then finally, I have the third constructor down here at the bottom where I'm bringing in 2 values. Length gets the value of len, and width gets the value of width. Okay. And again, these guys have different signatures. Okay. Nothing in the parameter list, 1 thing in the parameter list, 2 things in the parameter list. And when we have different signatures, but the same name, we call it overloading. Overloading. So that's hopefully you got some of that out of the video. Second thing was to jump to section 8.4. In the old book, it used to fall in chapter 6, but for some reason it got moved out. A toString is a nice method. When I get ready and want to display, for example, system.out.println, and I have R, that's an object. And if I did that, the default is a memory address and something else. It doesn't work. Well, this toString will now all of a sudden make it work. When I write it, I'm going to write it up. Its return type is a string. I want to return a string. This is an odd method. I never have to call using the words toString. I just display the object's name, right? To display an object. And when we're writing code, we usually put the toString as the last method. So an example of a toString, print the toString, here's the length, here's the width, and so on. So you got some idea about that. So we had a rectangle program, and you can see my UML chart. And that day we would have been working on adding the 3 constructors like we just talked about, and adding a toString. Okay, again, the return type is a string. We would have put more fluff in it than what's in there right now. So I don't know if anybody updated the toStrings or not, but I do know if I share screen and I go to here, that I believe it was Dorian did a great job with circle. Was this yours, Dorian?
Yes.
Yeah, you put it on the discussion board.
Right.
Notice constructors. So easy to find where he puts his constructors by putting that one line in. Here's the default, in which radius is getting a value 5. And here's the second one. I have 1 parameter coming in. It's a different signature. So the circle is what we call overloaded. Same name, different signatures. This time the value I bring in, I assign to radius. Once you get this and know what you're doing, it becomes really a piece of cake. Here is public string, a toString. If return type is a string, and he builds a bunch of information inside of here. So over in the demo, not much here. We instantiate 2 different objects. Good. I'm testing both constructors to make sure they work. Outstra, see where it says circ1? That's automatically calling the toString for circ1. When I say outstra and I add circ2, that's automatically calling the toString for circle2. Okay, and if we ran it, it would work, and it was a great job on that one. Questions? Okay, so then I had you watch a video on section 6.6. And again, we're taking that idea of what I just mentioned a moment ago about overloading and we're going to not use it for constructors, but this time we're going to use it for methods. I can have methods that have the same name, sum, but they have different signatures. For example, if I said num1 equals sum num2, num3, it would call this guy, assuming all three of those were integers. If I had num1 equals sum of num2, num3, num4, it would call this one. If I had doubles, it would call this one. So here, x equals sum of 1, 2, and 3 calls this guy, and it's going to return an integer. Okay, it's going to match up by the signatures. Questions on this whole idea of overloading and so forth?
So does it kind of work like an if statement in a way?
The overloading?
Yeah.
A little bit, yeah, I can see where you're saying that. Okay, so I had then said, here's a program called 50/50. Okay, there's the UML chart. It's already built in. Balance, that's my only value. 50/50. I can call a default constructor, which would give balance a value of I don't know what. And I could call one where when I instantiate it, this is how much money I have. And then it's a little bit of a game. Set balance, get balance, add balance. That would add the default. Here I would be adding an amount. So there's two different add balances. So they're overloaded. Sub balance, they're overloaded. So it's a little, game of 50/50. Now, I don't know if any of you got to run it or not, but if you build it and played with it, here's an example of what you would have done. I create a field, private double balance. Okay. I have my default constructor. You get 100 hours to start if you don't send in an amount. If you send in an amount, we'll make that our balance.
Can I ask a question quick, Professor?
Yeah.
So, so you have one constructor, like the second one, where that you have the double amount and then you say balance equals amount.
Yep.
So because you have balance equals amount, would the program still work if you don't even have the set balance method in there? Like, why do you need that if you're already calling it within the constructor?
Just as a backup plan.
Okay, just as a backup.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
It also then later lets you, if you need to rechange that
Okay.
private double, then you can do it later in the method after you've already instantiated the object.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I was just wondering if it would like still work without it, and clearly it would, but
Right.
as Jacob said, you could just change the value then.
Yep. Set balance, get balance, add to balance. There's the adding amount. Here we're only adding 450. Here we're subtracting 550. And then of course we have a two-string thanks for playing the game. So let's take a look at what the game does. It comes in, would you like to wager or play the line? So wager is you wager however much you want to wager, okay? If you play the line and you win 450. If you lose 550. And this is just a simple game of 50/50 where I'd have to rechange these and rename because they were the second versions. But it was available. Did anybody download it and take a look at it?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, I did it
So
too.
you have copies of it. And so if you wanted to play the game, you could play the game. And it's kind of neat to see how all of it works. Okay, so now what do I want to take a look at? Today, I'll change this screen. We are going to, I'm going to D2L and, okay, hang on one second. It needs to, here we go. I'm going to our home page, and what I'm going to do is put you in pairs. Why is all of that coming up? Wrong class. Give me 1 second. That was last semester. Spring 2021. Remote class. And if you're on D2L, you see, oh boy, I'm giving you a class called Viking that I want you to write. I want you to write. So what do we need to know about the Viking? We need to know the name. We need to know health. Health is 0 to 100. 100 is great health, 0 is you're dead. We need to know how much money you have. You can make that whatever value range of values you want, kind of deal. It depends on the game. It could go to infinity. And the Viking also has a weapon. So he has his health, his wealth, and his weapon. You notice I have a default constructor and I have a constructor to set all 4, like name, da 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 da. I have a set name, a get name, a set health, a get health. I have my accessor and mutator methods for all 4 of them. Now, what happens if your Viking takes a hit? We send a value in and he loses some points to his health. If he gets cured, we add values to his health. Add the money, spend money, change weapon, and finally a 2-string to display all of that Vikings information. So do you see where this could be the start of making a game? You know, and then as you go through the game, you could add and delete all these. So I'm going to put you in small groups, and about 9:30, I will be giving you a demo. So you don't even have to write the demo. All I want you to do is write the class. So if you write this class properly, the demo should work. Got it? So, you know, I might do what probably 1 or 2 of you have already done this, and that is you copy this and you're going to paste it in your program in documentation so you can see it and go from there. So today we're working on a Viking class. Next 3 classes after this, we are going to be working with something called arrays, chapter 7. But I think we've worked pretty hard on chapter 6, and hopefully everybody has a really good feeling about it. And the program is actually, the assignment will actually be easy after doing all these.
Can I ask another quick question about the
Yeah.
assignment? So for the default constructor in assignment 6.2, can we just pass in whatever values we want, like any random
Yep.
values?
Yep.
Because you didn't specify, like.
Yep.
Okay.
Default is whatever you want to default them to.
Okay.
Okay. All right.